The meeting to order and be led in prayer by Commissioner Tony Smith.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we want to thank Thee for another gorgeous day. Lord, bless this world to shape its in. Bless our troops that are overseas and fighting for our rights, our current way of life, our freedom. Bless the people that are sick and need Your guidance. Direct them in a helpful manner. Help all the people, Lord, that need Your guidance. In Thy name we pray, amen.
Amen. All right, as far as roll call, Commissioner Scott Johnson is the only one absent. I haven't heard from him, so he may.
I thought he was coming.
Yeah, he may be a few minutes late. Approval of the minutes from the August 22nd, 2023.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, now public comment. Don't think anybody asked for a document, but if we skipped you, we'll be happy to accommodate you. Okay, seeing none, we're moving on to new
He's
business.
here.
And for the records, Commissioner Johnson just got with us, and so we're ready for our first report with solid waste.
There have been quite a few calls about our hazardous waste event that was scheduled for the 16th. We had flyers out. It was on our website. Radio stations picked it up. They were doing advertising. A banner will be at the fence at the Ag Center to help people locate us. A lot of the calls are still about paint, which we do not take. We ended up with went on and took the paint cans anyway, just because the people had brought them. We had over 60 cans of paint.
Wow.
They still do not realize we have a place to take it. And out of those people that showed up, we had 32 people is all that we had that came. Last year, I think we had 50-something. One was from Williamson County, 2 from Rutherford, and 1 from Coffee. The rest of them were all Bedford County residents. It was a good day. We had a lot of interaction, gave the people some flyers and some information on what to do with the paint, and that they could just dump out the latex on paint, let it dry, and then dispose of it in the trash. So maybe that word will get out. Paint disposal is available at the Shelbyville Transfer Station Monday through Thursday, 6:30 to 4:30. They're closed from 11:30 to 12:30 for lunch. Oil-based paint, lacquers, shellacs need to go to that facility. No liquid paint taken at the convenience centers anytime. And we still have people that will try and sneak it in a black bag, and when it gets compacted, we have paint everywhere. So hopefully eventually they will get the message we have a place to take it. The Environmental Awareness Week at the Ag Center started today, and it's on track. It goes through Thursday. Barry Mitchell's show is a treat for the kids. He talks about recycling and keeping the planet clean. He has a talking turtle. Barry is a ventriloquist, and the kids really enjoy that. Carol Fulmer also was out there doing a presentation. She had a pool set up with different pieces of trash and the kids' little fishing poles to fish out what did not belong in there, so they could learn what items actually were trash and the ones that were supposed to be recycled. There's supposed to be about 1,320 kids. We'll also be assisting with the Duck River cleanup, which was scheduled for last weekend. Calls for information, days of operation, tire pit time, and then we have some flyers at each of the centers with all this information. We had 19,606.64 on our revenue for recycling. That was 93.66 tons. Landfill costs were $36,103.11. 1,060 tons, 0.82. That's up 45 tons from last month. And then for the household hazardous waste event, we had we had to pay for that ourselves, it would have been right at $2,000. So that was a lot of money that the county saved, but it also got rid of a lot of items. Had they just dumped it, would have been in the wrong place. So anyway, I'm glad that we did that, and we will continue to do it each year. Anyone have any questions? Thank you.
Questions? Thank you. All right, up next is HR.
Good afternoon, everyone. You all have your report that was submitted for your packets, and you can see that we had several new hires or rehires. That number is a little bit higher because it's reflective of the sheriff's department, the deputy positions that we were seeking with the grant funding. And I am happy to report that as of today, we have pulled that job posting. Those positions have all been offered. So deputies, SROs, yes, done, checked off the list. So, and several of those, and some of them were actually rehires, but approximately 5 to 6 of the 11 are specific to the sheriff's department. So I just wanted to offer that. We did have a few resignations the previous month of August and one retirement. Again, with job postings, currently we have 4 different positions out of the entire county that we are seeking to recruit talent for. Those are corrections officers, a little bit different from your report, CDL, EMS, and trying to remember, the 4th one now is juvenile detention, subbed out from maintenance supervisor. So it ebbs and flows depending on what day you ask me to pull my data for this report. So just complimentary to all of the department directors and elected officials that make Bedford County a great place to work, and the commissioners and the mayor who support those efforts, because out of 400 strong workforce, part-time and full-time, we have 4 positions. I mean, there's a number of corrections officers within a position, but you only have 4 positions right now that we're seeking talent. And I attended an HR summit that was hosted by CTAS yesterday in Franklin. And compared to other counties, we are doing really, really well to recruit and to retain the talent that we have. So I'm really proud to work for this county and with the directors and the elected officials that make this a great place to work, because it shows in the data that I present to you all monthly. You can see we had 83 visitors, roughly highest visitor traffic day on the website. That is separate data from the 22 job boards that you've heard me mention before. That's just specific to the county website, the highest traffic day reported for the month of August. And you can see my schedule of active focus areas and projects. But other than the HR summit where we talked about things, CTAS is looking to do an HR certification. I'm really excited about that upcoming program and to be able to participate in that. But I'm also working with the finance department on open enrollment opportunities. So we're going to be getting information out. We've gotten information out on medical, dental, and vision, and soon will be life insurance. So that's what's going on in HR. Do you all have any questions for me?
All the job descriptions are written and fixed now.
Yes.
And the policies are reviewed for each department once a year.
That would be a goal. Usually, I mean, of course, the HR department reports directly to the mayor's office. So usually the industry standard in HR is you review your policies. You can review them annually, but you don't usually do updates unless necessary for about 3 years.
Okay.
Just because you're constantly pushing information out and you need some sort of method of consistency. But there have been recent updates to specific elected officials. I know Highway Department worked on theirs most recently. Donna Thomas's office worked on hers. I believe Rhonda was making some revisions. So yes, elected officials do handle. I know the GSO updates to the sheriff's department, they work on those. So it's always a work in progress, but to say that all of them are annually, I think that would be a stretch. It's hard.
But motions by board or anything else would cover anything, even though the policy.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
And then third thing is the ethics policy. Every employee is abiding by all of that and knows about it.
Yes. Yes. And there's an ethics statement, like a paragraph in the mayor's personnel policy. And that language in the policies of the elected officials is very similar, if not exactly verbatim.
And would I be correct, as we have positions come up that your office is working with the department to fill, we're discussing job description, though, and policies around that as they come up with that department head to make sure that we don't see anything particular at that time.
Yes, a lot of times, even though we've reviewed job descriptions recently, when we have a position open, if it's been a while since that job description's been looked at, or if we can't remember, or the position changes, because sometimes it's an opportunity to restructure from what we currently had. The elected officials or department directors will look at what was posted the last time, and they'll let me know if there's any more recent changes that need to be made. So that's constantly a work in progress with job descriptions.
We're currently reviewing, trying to figure out the public safety
Yes.
model for time off and all that to make sure that it's equitable across all of the
Right.
disciplines of public safety. Because there's been a couple
Yeah.
of places where we're looking at it close. It doesn't read exactly right. It turns out okay, but it doesn't read right. So we'll be
Right.
bringing that forward once we get everybody on the same page.
The personnel policies of all the other elected officials have to flow through commission just as an acknowledgement to be spread across the minutes and then be filed at the county clerk's office. And then they become effective the first of the following month of when they were submitted.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Anything else?
questions for HR? Of
Okay.
course, the school system has a full-time HR model of their own and constantly, and probably under y'all standards, they may very well be a little different about how y'all review. I know TSBA probably when I was around, TSBA was a big resource for you guys that would point out, I guess, trends and best practices as they see them across the state. So I'm sure y'all do something very similar.
That is correct. Annually is what they recommend us looking at those.
Yeah, that's a
But it's
big,
hard to
yeah, that's a big undertaking whenever you.
It's hard, but we do that, and the mayor's made even some amendments just to stay on and be parallel and consistent with the state policies on holidays and things that come up. You know, we've had to do the COVID and pull things
Juneteenth.
out and all that. Yeah, so it's constant.
We work closely together so we can kind of align.
Yeah, and I knew that it's Neil,
Neil,
right?
yeah.
At your-
Yes,
Yeah, I know
uh-huh.
that they're always talking back and forth, and
Yeah.
that makes for a great partnership because a lot of this stuff is national standards and federal law, and so if we don't have it right,
That's right.
you know, then
It helps
y'all
to
may may have it right or vice versa. So we
She's
call
been
it.
a great mentor, and we appreciate
Thank
her
you.
help to
Thank
him.
you. Yes, we network in the public sector because local governments are so unique in how we have to provide human resource and push out things. It's so different from the private sector. You really have to network. And we do have a network of HR here locally that meets once a month. And so that's helpful as well. You don't want to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. If you can figure out somebody else that's already been through it, it kind of helps to bounce ideas off of each other.
I think Commissioner Boutwell's in the room, and he qualifies as an expert in that area as well. So, so we got a lot of opportunity to
He started a lot of it. I
Yeah.
would-
Yeah.
Most definitely.
to get us on the right track. Well, we appreciate all you've done to help us get off on the right foot. All right, any other? Okay, all right, thank you for your
Thank you.
report. Archives, we've got a little report from her here. I don't think she
I
could
think
be.
she was having to work the ag center for the school thing. I know she got a grant she was excited about, and Catherine, the other lady in the office, her being able to work full-time has been awesome.
Right, and it's amazing the people that circulate through looking for information. It's more than you would think. Now, there's not 25 people standing at the door when we get there at 8 o'clock, but there's a lot going on, and if you want to think about the word idle time or not actually face-to-face with a client, they're constantly massaging our record keeping and trying to get all, we've never caught that up, but we just continue to work on that in pockets to try to get all that cataloged correctly and all that. So there's way more goes on there than what you would just visibly see.
I've asked Carol too to kind of be on standby for October and November before it gets really cold. If I can get with Mr. Kleindanz and Rose, start on the cleaning out of the historical jail, because Carol needs to be there to say, no, this can't be thrown away. But anyway, I'll fuss about that
Okay, yeah,
later.
and I thought we had everything out except for pressure washing out
It's
some
just,
things.
but there's a lot of junk.
Is there
and
still
There's
in there?
just
Okay.
pick up, just scoop it with a scoop and put it in the
Okay,
thing.
we'll work on that because we should be about ready to start.
And it's cool enough now. But
Getting
Carol
the
said she
old jail.
would be there standby.
Okay.
Any questions?
No snakes. And then keeping them. Yeah. No problem on that. So, and then also the archives really is funded by archives fees that we collect.
Yes.
So they're pretty self-sustaining even in the work and role they do. All right. No other questions, comments there. We're on to architects. You want to give us an update on the school side of the world?
Yeah, Community Edition, we did the ribbon cutting last week on that. That was exciting. Liberty Edition and Thomas Edition, we should be hard bidding those hopefully soon. And then our Cartwright project, we should be under roof in November. And so we are moving right along on Fairfield Pike. The zoning, we plan to roll that out. We will have some town hall meetings to zone for Cartwright in December and January. So we invite the public out to come to those. We'll be getting that information out and hopefully could bring something to our board in February after getting input from the public on who will be going to the new school.
Boy, that's a big undertaking, trying to figure out how to sort. And then they're building houses like crazy around there anyway, so that'll be interesting to see. On our side, of course, the commission is fully invested in where we're going with juvenile, and so the advisory group that was has been on this journey even before I was the mayor. We're going to get them all together here in short order, and so we can launch the next phase of the architect concepts and looking at some of that, and then that'll give the commission something tangible to look at committee level if they want to weigh in on that or better understand what that model would look like. Everything appears to be moving in the right direction, but we're ready now for that next phase of that. So that'll be coming. The old jail, as soon as we can get the final IT component disconnected there, we'll be ready to start taking that down. Just spoke with Jeff Sweeney regarding working at the Ag Center, and we can talk a little bit more about that one under other business. So we got a project out there. Am I missing any other big ones? Okay. All right. Any other thoughts or comments about architects or buildings or status project on that? Okay. Monthly reports.
Okay, we've got a monthly financial report. There's not really a lot to report. We're just in the second month. This is August that we're reporting on. We haven't collected a lot of the revenues yet. We start collecting taxes in October, but they do have some people that pay early, so you'll see a little bit of that filtering in, and you'll probably see a lot more next month with the schools. I just might mention there's funding comes in 10 months instead of 12 months, so that's why we don't really have a lot of activity there. On property tax, you'll have to see the trustee about that. I have no control over that.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. Here's what I think I know about this. The short answer is I think that's prohibited under the state unless we were to vote to give some kind of discount, which, we did low-income elderly. But what Tanya's office was able to do was to push out the bills at the earliest acceptable date by the state standard, so people have time to make payments instead of getting them in December and having to come up with all their money at once. Yeah. Yeah, no doubt about that.
But they are doing some partial payments, but I'm not sure she's even allowed to give a discount. We budget for cash flow.
That's it.
Okay, the
Escrow.
next area is the analysis of tax collections. The reason there's not much in July and August, that's picked up as a receivable in the prior year. So you'll have 2 at the end of June, but only you will not have a July. So you can see we've only collected a minimal amount so far. The biggest difference is sales tax on page 2. We are $46,000 ahead of the same time last year on sales tax. So if there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer them, but like I said, there's not really a lot of activity on that yet. The next area is the certain expenses that we highlight. 16.67 is the average, and anything above that is highlighted in red, and it's not necessarily a problem because a lot of your travel and in-service is done at the beginning of the year, so you'll see really a spike, and then later it'll drop off. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. I might mention on food supplies, a lot of that is higher than average because they issue POs, and they have to have them out ahead of time in order to get the food in on time. And same thing with fuel. And fuel, we try to top up the tanks early, especially If we're doing propane, we try to top up the tanks when the prices are cheap, so we try to bid it and get that fuel in before winter. So that's my report on that, if you have any questions.
All right, any questions on monthly reports? Is that all? Okay, so, other reports, EMS?
So we've had a pretty busy month last month. We have wrapped up our EMT school. Our staff, if you don't know, our staff teaches that class. They do it in between their normal shifts on the ambulance. So far, we've had a 100% pass rate on our practical and a 100% pass rate on our state testing. So that's an impressive goal that they've been able to accomplish. We're proud of that. Next, we're going to start our event season, October. October is usually our busiest month for events. We have the Web Craft Fair, which is our largest event of the year. And then we also are going to do several different events, high school football games and the near screen balloon festivals and things like that. So October tends to be pretty busy for us. We also had 3 paramedics graduate school last month. So we've got 3 more paramedics on the road in the county. We're excited about that, and that helps everybody out. All I've got beyond the normal reports. If anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Good. All right, so we need a motion to approve reports. Okay, all right, second. All right, motion second. All in favor? Any opposed? We've got surplus at the Board of Education, only one that had something this month. Motion to
Send on.
send on to
With
the
approval.
commission. All right, motion second. Any comments or vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and the next item, and they actually withdrew this, and so it fell on the agenda because it had been there last month. So Commissioner Thomas, Adam Thomas, and Commissioner Hooker requested to totally withdraw the wheel tax.
Can I make a couple of just comments?
I guess you can.
I didn't get to last time for some
Oh, that's
reason.
right, because they deferred it.
I'm really pleased that this has been withdrawn, and I was hoping one or both of them would be here tonight, because I just want to make sure, because it was said, maybe not out loud in the meeting, but around that the Finance Committee had wanted a wheel tax back a few months ago. And I just want to make sure that what this committee tried to do at that time was to allow the commissioners to make the decision on whether there would be a wheel tax put forth or not. That there never was a wheel tax proposed by this Finance Committee. Second thing is, and the real reason I'm glad it's withdrawn is this would have really been a tax increase on the county taxpayers, since 100% of what was being proposed was of the wheel tax was not going back into the deductions that Commissioner Thomas and Commissioner Hooker had proposed. So I'm glad that it was withdrawn so that there would not be a tax increase. And I talked to Charlie Curtis extensively. He's our commissioner, he's our county commissioner association chairperson or board chair, whatever. Very knowledgeable. When all of this started, and Mr. Curtis was adamant that, you know, doing a wheel tax to reduce the current property tax was never the intent of a wheel tax. That the wheel tax was to come into play when there were big projects fixing to happen, like in 3 or 4 more years when I'm assuming Dr. Garrett will ask for another school. At that time, you would possibly visit a wheel tax. Or if some other major issue came up in the county, this is when you would visit the possibility of a wheel tax. But to propose a wheel tax to just reduce the property tax is not ever been the intent of the legislature when they proposed our being able to do this. And the last thing I want to say is, why would this body ever even think about our asking the commissioners to make the decision on a wheel tax? And the probability of a wheel tax ever passing in this county is probably zilch to none. We have a high rate of renters in this county. I've tried to get a number from several people, and I've heard it's all across the board. But probably the average of what they said was about 20% of the homeowner or the people who live in houses are renters, and it's probably higher than that if you just look at the city residents. And so those people are not going to vote for a wheel tax. And so each time, which has been 4 that I can remember, it has not been able to pass. And so the likelihood of it being able to pass is probably zilch to none. And therefore, this body, Tony took the lead on it, and myself, and we got chastised for it. But the intent was to be able to pass a wheel tax through the commission. Never was there a wheel tax proposed. It's just an option.
Clarification, we're on to other
I feel
business. And one item is our lease for the postage machine that we use at the courthouse. And that document's here, but it's a 5-year lease, and so that's going to need to go to the commission for ratification or approval. So we need a motion to send that unless there's heartburn.
Make a motion to send it to
Second.
the commission.
Okay, motion second. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, so we'll get that on the way. And then there's one other item under other business. This was discussed at committee. I think it's been discussed in all kinds of places about the Fair Board wishing to build a bricks and mortar structure on the Ag Center to conduct and handle the business that the Fair Board conducts at the Ag Center. The Ag Board has approved that. Committee has talked about that and didn't take exception to that. Everybody seems to be okay with that. I was talking with legal about this, and this is at the expense of the Fair Board, but the building will become property of the county. And that was sort of said, but I wasn't sure that it was clear at the committee the other night. And so I feel like, in talking with John T., that we should put a small resolution together that establishes that the building will become the property of the county. It'll be built at no expense by the county, and the Ag Board, as long as it exists, would be the occupant of it and would be responsible for their own bonds and liability insurance within their capacity. Now, we were just talking about the physical building would wind up under the county's general liability, obviously. So if somebody could go along with a motion to send a resolution, I'll get all the document cleaned up with the county attorney by the time.
I don't have any problems. I'll make the motion for the resolution, but who is responsible then for the maintenance and upkeep and cleaning and?
And they agreed to that, and we'll put that in the
Okay,
resolution.
okay. So with that, I'll make that
Yeah,
motion.
I talked to their chairman, Matt Ledbetter, and he said he would be happy to come to the committee if there was any question, but they did not intend for any of their actions to be a burden on the county. They had been in a temporary building out there for years that had really had just disintegrated, and the Fair Board is strong, and the fair participation in the county is strong. The Ag Board absolutely embraced that. The committees embraced that. We just need this document, and because we're going to establish that they're going to financially manage this, I think it should come through this committee, go to the commission, that it just be a clean document for historic purposes, establishing what's going on there. Is everybody okay with that? All right, so we have the motion second. Second. Okay. Any other discussion, questions about that? Just a formality. We'll get it out to you guys. It'll be in your packets for the commission. John T. will whip it up. So, all right. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Those are the two things. Did I miss any on you? Okay. So announcements. I know that Commissioner Vick would love to make a comment about broadband. We've worked so hard on this, particularly him and a team of folks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, our broadband journey is winding itself towards a destination of September 30th to have our letters of interest here and support. We need everyone on the commission to write a letter. We can send the form to you. I've talked to Superintendent Clanton, who's going to help us do that. The Superintendent of Schools has already done that. We need EMS and everybody else who's involved with this. That letter of support for these programs scores very heavily on the way these applications are received. It's a 224 point scoring process. And close to 60 points is letters of support and the community involvement. So it is a critical component for us to get that. And hopefully, this is our middle mile, last mile, which sets us up for the final BEAD grant, which is the $900 million that is coming into the state so that everyone has broadband. But because of the work and the mayor, the foresight to put us involved with our broadband program for the last 3 years, we are so far ahead of everyone else in the food chain to get to the money. But we have got to have this last push to get these letters of support in there. And if you're listening out there anywhere, if you want to write a letter, send it to the mayor's office. Suzanne is holding on to those letters, and then we will transmit them to United. United has to put the application in place. Tracy Strassner is doing an amazing job helping us on that. We've set through a webinar today for another hour and a half, and this is on top of the 15 weeks we've already put into that. So we are trying to get Bedford County to be the first rural community to be fully activated with broadband, and we are pushing hard to get that. So get those letters in. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, committee members.
And I don't have the maps, they haven't been released to us yet, but if you could see them, you can really see the difference that it's made by this county making broadband a priority. When you look at Franklin County, Winchester and what have you, I would have thought that they'd have pretty good connectivity. There's a lot of high-end houses and the lake and everything is there. Their county is almost all red. Moore County is red, which you would expect it to be. It's small.
Lincoln County, half of it.
Yeah, and
It was
so,
a-
but when you look at what Bedford is, now we've
Yeah.
got these spots that they're working on, but we've come a long ways. A lot of our map is green, which means that it either has connectivity or it's already been approved. It just hadn't been built out. So it will target that main strip, basically that runs right through Bell Buckle War Trace and right on down to Normandy and into Tullahoma and hooks some kind of way back over to Moore County and then zigzags back some kind of way to Franklin County as a backbone that United is building. And we're fortunate to have a company like United that has a personal commitment to the community, and Duck River, absolutely. Duck
Yeah.
River stepped up with their backbone and their funds as well. So this has really made this possible. We may actually we're in certainly much better connectivity, and we've got a chance with that last leg of funding to come after this leg of it, that we may actually satisfy what the state and federal would say is connectivity in Bedford, which would be huge because that's from education to healthcare to jobs to family quality of place and life, the whole deal. So,
And this is average citizens write letters to mamas
can
and
anybody?
daddies,
Yeah, they even
school
said we
systems.
could take emails that were just sent to us saying, we need it. My mom can't order prescriptions or whatever you would want to say. That they're just looking for every way they can to show the state that the community is involved. Everybody asks for money, but they want to see people going the extra mile or being actually engaged and making sure their community has it. Greg and them have done a tremendous job. They all know who we are in the state. That's a good place to be on this issue because it's very expensive, and they even agreed that the next round of funding, not this one we're talking about now, will probably be the last leg of federal funding for a long time to go out into rural areas to try to do something with broadband. So we're in the best place we can be given the circumstance. It's not 100%, but we are way ahead of the game on the mapping, on the connectivity, and on the opportunity to grab those federal funds. So thank you for all that. What else? Any other announcements?
Black Creek's barbecue is this Saturday night. I believe it's 4 to 7 or
Till it's
8
gone.
till it's gone. I don't think anything happens the next weekend, and then the next one, Ross is having a fundraiser from like 6:30 to 9, and then the 21st is Normandy Fire Department chili supper. So
Busy
something,
time.
October 20th?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dave Macon. Oh, it's just Macon.
Wednesday morning, in the morning, we, thanks to Dr. Garrett, all fourth graders in public school of 700 will be attending, getting a lesson on doing the mule skinner program. So the buses are rolling tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, plus Independence will be there too. And it's free to get in this year. You goes to their program. So this, we're excited that Dave Macon has joined us here.
Awesome.
Are we ready to adjourn?
Don't move.